in my research, but the gravity is so high. Oh my.
That's pretty cool.
Okay. But the gravity is so high that they actually do have mountains, but they are fractions of millimeters in height, sometimes even nanometers.
It's probably the most perfect globe in the universe.
Okay, after the atmosphere, is the crust, and then there's inner crust made of a super dense superfluid. I might define that in another video.
This is theory at this point, though, right?
Theories.
Right.
And then below that, it's made of strands of neutrons and whatnot, then there's the outer core, then the inner core. We haven't been able to use a spectrometer to determine what that's made of yet. There are accretion-powered pulsars and spin-powered pulsars. Accretion-powered get the power from the material of their companion. Say you have a binary star system. That means two stars. And one star is just a regular star, and the other star is a pulsar. It slowly sucks matter out until it reaches it's critical, which is called the Chandrasekhar limit.
Then you have a supernova.
Yes, but they only occur in binary star systems, or more than binary. Then there's spin-powered pulsars. They get their energy from their own spin. As I said before, they have an enormous spin.
What is it? What are the stars? What do you call it? We've actually been able to observe some of them in the universe, where you actually see a spiral out in the universe, in other galaxies, or in our own galaxy, where you see a spiral, and that is where the neutron star is sucking mass from the other star that it's orbiting.
And because they're orbiting each other and going through space at the same time, it creates a spiral-like pattern. And some of the mass of the actual sun isn't absorbed by the pulsar, so it just drifts off into space, which creates the spiral-shaped tail.
Back to the point where you're talking about a spiral, is the material from the other star is not coming straight out. I mean, it's not coming out in a spiral pattern. You have the orbit of the neutron star going around the other star, and it's coming out just straight as can be, but without physically, you can.
It's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah, it is, but it's not actually coming out in a curved pattern. It is coming straight out towards the other star.
Imagine you have a spinning water spigot. It looks like a spiral coming out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the water's coming straight out, but because of the centrifugal force, it appears to be a spiral.
Some people may not know centripetal force. So say you have a ball attached to a string and you're spinning it. The only reason that the ball stays a maximum distance is because of centripetal force. This is Earth and this is Moon. The Moon is actually going straight that way, but it's trapped in the orbit. So in orbit is pretty much the object falling and missing. And centripetal force is an outward force created by spin.
We're going to do about 5 more minutes, and our first video will be 20 minutes. We could even start on another, but we don't want each video to be too long.
Actually, I have this, and then this will be short.
Okay.
If two collide, that's
two neutron stars?
Yes.
Okay.
If they collide, a black hole is created less than a second after the collision, and then about 10 milliseconds later.
What is the reaction that actually creates a black hole, and why don't they just merge into a larger neutron star?
Because they have so much mass that they simply exceed the Chandrasekhar limit.
Can you say that slower?
Sure. I'm not even sure I said it right.
Chandrasekhar limit?
Chandrasekhar limit. Chandrasekhar.
Was that named after someone?
It probably is.
Okay. We'll talk on that later, possibly.
But it creates a hyper-powerful magnetic field, as you can imagine. They say a black hole is so powerful that nothing but light can escape. And then their magnetic field is just massive.
Light cannot escape from the black hole. It say nothing but low.
Yeah, you're right. I was wrong.
Light cannot escape from a black hole because the gravity is so strong.
The fastest thing in the universe.
Right. It's not about speed. It's about space-time. Let's say being pulled into a drain of a sink. It's exceeded the limit that space-time that light can travel through space-time. It's it's just like going over a waterfall. It's just so
Once
much
you reach the edge, you cannot get back up.
Right.
Okay. The collision may be a possible explanation for gamma ray bursts, which you are moving on to that right now. I'll read the end of this section first. This is all my own research. I have a OneNote account. I do a whole bunch of research. Not brag. There's another explosion known as a hypernova or a superluminous supernova, which is abbreviated SLSN. It's easier to just say hypernova.
Superluminous hypernova is actually
Superluminous supernova.
That's not. Isn't that from when the proton star is orbiting the other star?
Maybe.
Is that how you create the superluminous hypernova?
There isn't a certain explanation for it yet.
Okay.
But it is known that they are the most powerful explosions in the universe since the Big Bang. Imagine the size of our star, 860,000 miles across. Gamma ray bursts last a very short period of time, and that explosion contains more energy than our sun has ever emitted in the 4.5 billion years that it has ever existed.
That's in less than a second? Or is it over like a minute's time?
I'm not sure of the exact duration, average duration, but
I'm sure it's probably less than a minute.
there are a few possible remnants in galaxy M101. I'm not sure if that's a spiral, barrel, or elliptical galaxy. I don't do research in specific galaxies. But on the topic of supernova, it's commonly misunderstood that supernova can only occur by the explosion of a supermassive star, not large enough to create a black hole. But there are actually two types. There's type 2, obviously, and there's type 1A. Type 2 is the most well-known kind when a supermassive star dies between 8 and 25 solar masses. Supermassive stars can burn any element on the periodic table up to iron, but once they reach iron, the fusion requires more energy than it generates. And imagine the core of the sun is pushing outwards against the immense gravity pushing in on the core.
But the split second that you reach a critical point with the iron production in the star, that's when the nuclear fusion stops. Just stops dead, and within less than a second of that happening, the star is completely imploded on itself. Less than a second. You have a star, let's say it's the size of our star, 860,000 miles across. It literally compresses in less than a second's time.
I think that our star will turn into a giant red star.
I'm just using it as an example. I know that it won't supernova, but I'm just using it as an example. 860,000 miles compressing in less than a second.
Let's try to explain red giant in just a few minutes. But because
we're running over time.
because it doesn't have enough outward energy to keep it from collapsing. A type 1A supernova occurs.
Gravity 1.
A type 1A supernova occurs in binary star systems when one is a star and the other is a white dwarf. A white dwarf is what our sun will turn into after the red giant phase. The dwarf slowly...
The red giant phase, our sun will just expand, possibly as far as the Earth.
50 times its diameter.
And then all that mass of the star is just going to fizzle into space. And what you're going to have left is a tiny nucleus of what used to be our star, called
The white dwarf.
Right.
And in type 1A supernova, binary star system, the white dwarf is orbiting the other stars, slowly sucking matter from it. And once that white dwarf reaches the Chandrasekhar limit, That's a maximal mass of a stable like dwarf star. 1.39 solar masses. Once it reaches that limit, it explodes in a Type 1A supernova.
Okay, I believe that's it for tonight.
Any more
Okay.
questions?
No questions. Okay, that's our first video. Thank you.